Welcome one and welcome all back to my channel. It's been a little while since we've had a review, but you know what? I'm really excited to talk with you guys today. And for those of you who are new to my channel, thank you so much for showing up. My name is Cody Curtis. I'm a movie lover, and let me tell you guys, I'm really excited to talk with you about the movie we're going to discuss today, and that is The Incredibles 2, sequel to the first Incredibles film. And if you guys don't know anything about The Incredibles 2, I'll introduce it to you and give you a little bit of information before we go full on into the review and how I just full out adore this movie. The Incredibles 2 picks up immediately after where the first film left off. And what I mean immediately afterwards, the nice part about this movie is it could have gone in two different directions. It's been 14 years since Brad Bird brought us that first amazing Incredibles film, which in my opinion, up to this point, was the best Pixar film. They could have either done a time jump where all the characters are older, where Helen and Bob are in their elder years, and Dash and Violet and Jack, they're all either adults or in Jack's case, a young adult. But that's not what they did here. They took it immediately after the events of the first film, and I mean a split second after the first film ends. It's kind of like how Rogue One in Star Wars transitions in A New Hope. You can go straight from the first Incredibles film to the second one. In all honesty, both of these films are so great and indistinguishable that you can watch either one of them and be great. But for my money, this might change. But honestly, I can fully say right now that I believe that the second Incredibles film is better than the first. That's just my personal opinion though. If somebody's going to say that they either think the second one is as good as the first one or they think the first one is better than the second one still, I can 100% agree. Because both of these films are just so well directed and well put together. First of all, I gotta give all of my praises to Brad Bird, the director, because not only when it comes to Pixar, but when it comes to pretty much all the films that he's done, I thought they've been great. You know, The Incredibles, Ratatouille, Incredibles 2, as we're discussing today, great stuff, but even the live action stuff. Tomorrowland, I thought was a good film. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, I thought was an excellent film. And with The Incredibles 2, he's done it again, and honestly I think he has upped himself because in my personal opinion, I think this is the best film that Brad Bird has given us. And honestly, one of the things I love about The Incredibles 2 is the screenplay. I think this film is much better written than the first one, and I loved how the first one was written. And that allows me to transition into the characters, because honestly, one of the best things that The Incredibles 2 does, and one of the reasons why I think it might be the best sequel we've gotten in a very long time, is the fact that it not only progresses this franchise, the Incredible franchise, in a direction that it logically should go, but it also challenges the characters in logical ways. The certain issues that you see Dash and Violet and Bob and Helen all go through, it makes sense that those characters would have to deal that. And I understand that there are some people who were a little nervous, myself included, that it seems like Helen is going to be in the limelight. Elastigirl is going to take up most of the screen time, and Bob staying home with the kids, taking care of the kids, worrying about her. People were worried that it might have just been a recon. It might have just been another version of what we got with the first film. Luckily, although there are little tidbits here and there that are well established that you can recognize from the first film into the second film, this film does something very different. And I can't get into that without going into spoilers. But, you know what? Let's get right into the characters. Elastigirl. Honestly, I loved Elastigirl. She was my favorite character in the first Incredibles film. And honestly, it's between her and Jack in this film for me. Holly Hunter as Elastigirl, she, like with Craig T. Nelson as Bob Parr as Mr. Incredible, or Samuel L. Jackson as Frozone, or the rest of the cast in here, they just provide so much emotion, so much heart, and so much depth to the characters that they portray. And the animation, when it comes to all these, not just the character models, but the landscape, the action sequences, it's really amazing to see how far we've come when it comes to film, not just live action stuff, but also animation. You go back and you watch the Incredibles films, I know personally for me, I could see a couple of things that do seem a little dated. But when it comes to The Incredibles 2, it's breathtaking. I mean, the amount of detail and hard work that everybody went into to create this particular story is fantastic. And I know 14 years, again, it does seem like a very long time. But the fact of the matter is, seeing how hard these people went in, how the thought process went into making this story, how the entire crew was willing to come back, it made me so happy because this story was something that I wasn't expecting and it blew away my expectations and it was worth the 14-year wait. Would I have liked it to have come sooner? Of course I have. But I'm just glad that they produced a story that is worth the 14 years. So all the fans can be happy. Because in all honesty, when it comes to me, I can't really see why anybody would dislike this film. I really can't. The cinematography and the action sequences in here are mind-blowing as well. There are a couple of action sequences. There's one at the beginning and one around the middle point in the film. I was not only blown away, I was very, very surprised that they were actually able to pull this off with animation. It's just great, guys. It really is fantastic. Now, there are going to be people who are going to question the villain in this film. Yes, the screenslaver in this film, although I do not think that this villain is as good of a villain as what we got with the Syndrome in the first Incredibles film, I do think that this villain works for what this movie was going for. The motivations of the villain I thought were understandable, and it's not like they're a bad villain, and it's not like they're horrible at what they do. But, I mean, when Syndrome is the villain of the first film, it's kind of hard to beat that. So, having high expectations for this villain, I feel that may be a little unfair, but that, once again, that's just my opinion. And you know what, guys? This is the first film in a long time that just has left me satisfied, left me wanting more, made me curious where the future is going to be of the Incredibles films. Because I can see easily, like I saw with the first one, that if they didn't make another film after the second one, I would be perfectly content. However, if they do head in a new direction, I can see where they would go, and I would be curious to see what Brad Bird and the entire team would do. But in all honesty, this is a triumph. This is one of the only movies this year where I literally have no problems with it. I think the only other movie I can say that I didn't have issues with was Hereditary. And guys, this movie, as far as I'm concerned, is the best movie to come out of the year of 2018 so far. And that might just be nostalgia for me. It might be because I'm an Incredibles fanboy. You know what? Whatever. I wouldn't even say I'm a fanboy. I'm just a fan of great put-together films. And The Incredibles 2 certainly is that. And if there's going to be a film to top The Incredibles 2, I don't know what it's going to be. But I'll tell you right now, The Incredibles 2 is fantastic in every way possible. I have no issues with it, guys. And if you couldn't already tell, I'm going to say that The Incredibles 2 is suit-worthy. Guys, thank you so much for showing up. And once again, if you're new to my channel, thank you for showing up. I can't wait for you guys to see what I have else going on my channel. It's been a little while since I've actually had a review up. I'm going to tell you, it feels pretty nice to actually see a really great movie and talk to you guys about it. And of course, if you guys get the chance, go to the nearest movie theaters you can as soon as you get the opportunity and go see The Incredibles 2. It is worth your time. It's worth your money. It's an emotionally strong story. And it's just all around so perfectly put together from the mind of Brad Bird and the entire cast and crew. But as always, guys, it is what you say that matters. So, have you guys had the chance to see The Incredibles 2? And what did you think of it? Most importantly, though, between The Incredibles 1 and The Incredibles 2, or any other of Brad Bird's films, which one of your films is your favorite? Obviously, I love The Incredibles 2 most. But whatever your thoughts may be, leave them in the comment section below so we can get a conversation started. And if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right there and subscribe and become part of the fray of nerds who love cinema. You all have a fantastic day.